Okay, well, I wasn't really prepared to do this video, but I just did a video. I'll link it in the description. Everything that I've paid to maintain this 2000 Yukon XL 2500. I bought it with 168,000 miles. It's got 181, so it's about 13,000 miles. I bought it from a dealer, and I paid $9,400 when it's all said and done. Check it out in the description. But in that video at the end, I said, this is the greatest car ever made. If you count capability, ease of fixing, price to fix it, price to buy it, reliability, if you count all that, this is the greatest car ever made. And I don't even really think there's a comparison. Now, we got to take what most people would consider the greatest car ever, that are Toyota fans, right? They're gonna say it's the Landcruiser, and they'll probably say, you know, somebody might say 80 series, but they are incorrect. Right now, you can't compare an 80 series to this. The 80 series is too old, and they're too expensive, and the parts are difficult to find. And modern conveniences. This thing has modern convenience. You can get this thing with heated seats. You can get heated seats with this. So the same thing with the 100 series, and that's what we're going to do in the same time frame. This is the GMT 800 platform, 2000 to 2006. The 100 series was 98 to 2007. Check me on that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Now, there was some changes. The engine got changed 2007 or 2006, either way. I think the last 2 years or 3 years, the engine had a little more oomph to it, but you know, that's really neither here nor there. These aren't performance vehicles. We're just talking about capability and reliability and how to get the ease of getting parts, cost, all that kind of stuff. That's what we're talking about. So those are the two cars I'm going to put up against each other. And I should clarify, if you're here and you know about the Landcruiser / Lexus, I'm going to use both of them. So I'm going to compare those two to this. Okay, if you don't, so if you're here because of those cars and you don't know what this is, and you're like, what is this GMC that you're sitting in front of, and how you can possibly compare it to a Landcruiser? You don't know anything about this car. This is on a GMT 800 platform. Now, there was millions upon millions upon millions of cars sold on this platform, and there's still millions on the road. And it was from only 2000 to 2006. You have the Suburban, you have the Tahoe, the Yukon XL, the Silverado, the Sierra, the 1500 versions of all of these, and the 2500 versions of all these. I'm telling you, there is so many cars. They struck the lottery when they struck gold when they got this platform. And the 5.3, the 6.0, the 8.1, these are all Vortec engines. Even the 4.2, I think it was, right? 4.2, which is a good engine as well. But beyond that, this has the 6.0. And the transmission we'll talk about in a bit. Well, I don't want to spoil anything here. But I believe the 2500 is the greatest car ever. I believe it's better than the 1500. And the only difference between that as far as the downside is the MPG. But in the case of comparing it to the Landcruiser and the Lexus, there's no problem with comparing MPG. We'll get to that. So that's the big reason I'm comparing these two is that the MPG is similar. So we'll get to that part though. Let's first talk about some of the simple capabilities that you can compare. Now, right away you're going to say, hey, you're just rattling off things that the Yukon is better at. I am, but let's get them out of the way, and then I have a list here. And I'm sorry if I refer to it, but there's so much information, and I want to make sure I get the Landcruiser Lexus information right, because I know it well, but not as much as this. So let's talk about payload, okay? The Landcruiser and the Lexus is probably a hair less, but the Landcruiser is 1,500 payload pounds. That's decent. I mean, it's an SUV, so 1,500 pounds is a decent payload. If you go away for 2 weeks with that thing, and you got a family, people count. So you're going to be over the 1500. But it's not going to matter, probably. But as far as the numbers are concerned, 1500 is the number. You're going to be pushing the limits on that. Payload on this, 3,000. It's double the payload. It's double the payload, okay? Towing. You can tow with the you can tow with the Landcruiser. A little bit better than the Lexus. Lexus is heavier. This is the reason why the payload's different. We're going to go with the better number. You can tow 6,000, I believe, or 6,500 maybe, or something like that. Yukon XL 2,500, 12,000 pounds. So you're double again. Where are you going to find an SUV that tows 12,000 pounds? You cannot find an SUV that tows. I think the one that tows the most right now might be an Expedition, and it might be 12,000. It's possible, but I think it's more like 11.5 or something like that. This thing tows 12,000 pounds. I mean, that's incredible, okay? Price to buy it. Okay, now, I mentioned I paid $9,400 for this. I paid too much money, and it's because I got it from a used car dealer. You can get this car for $7,500 in this condition if you buy it private, right? Now, 100 series is not $7,500, but it's not 80 series money, right? You can get a good one in this condition, $15,000, right? With this amount of miles, $15,000. I think you could probably do that, which is not a crazy amount of money. It really isn't, but it's double. It's double the money. And so this is going to be cheaper to buy. Cheaper to fix. This. By a mile. Okay? Aftermarket parts on this are very cheap, and they're decent. With the Landcruiser or the Lexus, you do not buy aftermarket parts. Why? Because you bought a Toyota for reliability, right? Well, if you just keep replacing all the Toyota parts with China parts, well, it's not a Toyota anymore. You see what I mean? The reason that this is reliable is just the system. You know, the system is reliable. The engine goes forever, and all the other stuff is kind of whatever. You can replace it if you want, but you know, like a water pump went on this. I just got a decent water pump, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good for, I don't know, 50, 60,000 miles, and then I'll just replace it again. It costs $90, right? It's an easy fix. You can do it in a half an hour. So with the Toyota, it's different. You get the water pump goes, you're replacing it with a water pump. Next thing I'm going to say also is that you take that water pump off, well, maybe you should be doing the timing belt too, right? That's the next thing. Landcruiser and Lexus have a timing belt. This does not have a timing belt. What is a timing belt? I assume anybody that knows about the Landcruiser and other Lexus and other cars like the Hondas and stuff from that era know what a timing belt, Subaru, you know what a timing belt is. Timing belt is, it keeps the timing on the engine, and if the timing goes out, valves bend. Things inside of it that should be working like this go like this. Right? That's the easiest way to explain it, right? Is that they should be doing this, but then they do this, and they bend, and your engine's destroyed. Now, so if you don't change the timing belt and it breaks, you're finished. Okay? Now it can happen with the timing chain, right? A timing chain can skip a tooth. You know, the tensioner can break and it can get all out of whack. That can happen, okay? But it's only going to be screwed up is if you have what's called an interference engine. You can look that up. It's an interference engine. It means when things get out of time, they interfere with each other. Not good, okay? Now look, the engine in the 100 series is an extremely reliable engine as long as you maintain it and you fix it with Toyota parts. There's a guy that I watch, Where to Next Overland. He just bought like he bought a new to him truck with a camper top. I'll link to his channel. He did a lot of really good videos on the Lexus version of the 100 series. And he did a timing belt from somebody, and they didn't use the right one. They used like a cheap China version, and it didn't last very long. It broke, and he needed a new motor. That's horrible. You don't have to worry about that with this. No. You do not have to worry about that. So as far as fixing is concerned, and how much it costs, and how easy it is, and another thing, you're not doing that timing belt yourself. I mean, maybe if you're really, if you've done them before many times or something, you could do it, but I wouldn't do it. And I would do a Subaru. I would do a 25, an EJ25, right? EJ25. I would do a Subaru timing belt. That's an easy belt to do. The Lexus Land Cruiser is not. It's not. Go look up a video. You're taking off so much stuff. And the ramifications of screwing up is terrible on that car. If you screw up the 25, you're just going at another 25. It's a little four-cylinder. You pull it out, boop, throw it to the side, put a new one in. Not a big deal. So fixing, as far as cost, ease, this thing kills it. Okay, absolutely destroys it. Okay, so that's parts and labor too. Is that the labor is going to be more expensive to work on the Lexus or a Land Cruiser, right? If you had to bring this to somebody, anybody can work on this. Joe Schmo around the corner can fix this truck. Absolutely, Joe Schmo. You bring it to him for a timing belt. First of all, you're insane. But second of all, he's going to go. Hopefully, he says, bring it to the dealer. So, support system. Okay, next thing, support system. Way more information on this thing. They're all the same. There's millions of them. You want to go into YouTube, there's going to be 1,000 videos on the thing you need to fix. The support system for this car is way better than the Toyota and the Land Cruiser. Now, I'll say this. There is a good support system for the Toyota and the Lexus. There is a really good support system because they last a long time and people love them. Okay, so is the support system better on this? Without a shadow of a doubt. But the Toyota Lexus does, man, oh man, we got a lot of rain coming down here. They do have a good support system. Okay, all right, let's talk about gas. MPG is the same, basically. This gets about 1 MPG better. It's about 13, 13 and a half. You're looking at 12, 12 and a half on the Lexus, probably, right? Maybe 12 and a half, 13 on the Land Cruiser, just because of weight. But yeah, 87. You're looking at 90 or 91, I guess, at least on the Land Cruiser and the Lexus. It might even be better than that. I don't know. I know the 200 series you need premium, but maybe you just need mid-grade. Either way, you're spending more money, and it's harder to find in some cases, right? You're traveling across the U.S., sometimes you get into a little no man's land, and all you can find is 87. It's very difficult in my town to find anything other than 87. I know one gas station that has it. Insurance. This is another interesting thing that people probably don't think about, is that insurance on this car is way less. In fact, I don't even have collision on this because I can find anything I want to fix this in a junkyard. No problem. Now, if I completely destroy it, would total it out, well, you know, that would really be horrible. But it's also a lot cheaper of a car. You spend $7,500 on it and you total it, yeah, you're going to feel pretty crappy. But if you total your $15,000 car and you don't have insurance on it, it's going to sting twice as much. Now, you're probably going to need collision on the Land Cruiser or the Lexus. You're probably going to need Land Cruiser. You're probably going to need collision on it, just because it's so expensive to fix. You're not going to find a lot of parts in a junkyard to fix body panels. You're just not. Especially up here, you know, or in most areas, most rural areas. You're not going to find. They didn't sell many of those things. They sold a zillion of these. And the 2500 versus the 1500 is the same thing. So as far as insurance is concerned, you're going to spend more money on insurance for the 100 series. Okay, now, I've totally decimated. If you're still here and you love the Land Cruiser, yeah, good job, because we're going to get into the stuff that the Land Cruiser and the Lexus are better at. Okay, now, holding their value, okay? This thing holds its value because it's so cheap, right? I could sell this thing tomorrow for pretty close to what I paid for it, right? With the Land Cruiser and the Lexus, as long as you maintain it, right, you might be able to sell it for more. That's interesting, right? You will hold, without a doubt, hold to the dollar, and you might actually sell it for more. If you maintain it, if you fix some things on it, right? Selling this thing for more will not happen. The only way I could sell it for more is if I bought a junk one and completely, like, you know, fixed it up. And then I could sell it for more than I paid for it, but not how much it cost me to fix it up, for sure, I don't think. Because there's just not much of it. It's not like I could fix one up that I paid $5 grand for and sell it for 20. That's not going to happen, right? That's not happening. So the Landcruiser and the Lexus hold their value better by a little bit, but also you could probably sell it for more if you work on it yourself and really make it look nice. Interior. The interior on this car is the top that you can get in the GMT engine. It's a leather. It's not as good a leather that's in that Lexus. The Lexus leather is better than the Landcruiser leather, if I remember correctly. So you compare the Lexus interior to this. No, the Lexus is so much nicer. It's really, I could probably flash up some pictures or something. It's way nicer. The leather is nicer. The dash is nicer. I mean, there's no creaking. It's really a solid car, the Lexus. And maybe the Landcruiser too. The Landcruiser is better, but the Lexus is way better. So that's what I'm comparing. I'm trying to pick the best out of each of these. So yeah, interior, and that matters. It really does matter. Now, this is not junk. I mean, I like the interior. It's very nice. It's functional. It's just a functional, domestic SUV from 2000. I mean, it's a functional car, and you can get heated seats, right? You can get power. I have power seats, right? So it's a modern interior, but it's not the quality of the Lexus, without a doubt. Looks wise, okay. I love the way this thing looks, but I believe that the Landcruiser and the Lexus, the looks from the outside are better. Now, am I going to use the term timeless for the Lexus and the Landcruiser? No, but I'm very close to using it. I do believe it's very, very close to a timeless look. When I say timeless, what do I think is a timeless look? 911 is a timeless look, right? Been around forever. They can just keep releasing that with little tweaks. They can just keep releasing it. G-Wagon, right, which is effectively Defender 110. Okay, that look is just flat out timeless. What is it? A Range Rover Country, right? That is just an awesome look, without a doubt. So cool. There's a lot of timeless looks out there where it just looks good all the time and every year. I would say that the 100 series is really close to a timeless look. Is this a timeless look? No. Timeless look, I don't know. Some of these old pickups, Silverado pickups and Ford pickups, they do have like a timeless boxy look, and they're really nice. But this one, no. Do I think that it's a good looking car? Yes, but it's not timeless. It's really not a timeless car. An E36 BMW. I think that looks good, and I think a lot of people really like it now. But for a little bit of time in between, E46 and better, when they start to get a little bit curvy, like this car is a little bit curvy. You went from boxy before this to curvy. Same thing with the E36 BMW. You went from a boxy style, a little bit boxy, to E46 has more curve. That era, they didn't really like the E36 because it was boxy. But it's close. It's not a timeless look, but I think it's going to look good, and it's going to look good for a while. So it's interesting how, maybe not. I was going to say it's interesting how boxy styles and sharp corners become timeless. But then again, right, the 911 is timeless, and it's a curvy look. It's got some sharp edges, but it's curvy. It's swoopy, I guess you could say. So yeah, the Landcruiser, it's more timeless than this, and it just looks better. It's true. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's talk about toughness, because a lot of people are going to be like, "There's the Landcruiser, though. It's just so tough." Hey, without a doubt. And if you are taking this to the Sahara, right, and you're going to go hunt elephants, well, okay, yeah, you should buy the Landcruiser over this. Is that what you're going to do with it? No, you're not. So don't play around like you're using this. If you're making a rock crawler and you say, what should I do? Go for the GMT 800 or should I go for the 100 series? I'd say you're crazy to go for this, right? You'd be crazy. The wheelbase is way wider. Now, I'll say this, the 100 series is a lot taller. So as far as rollovers are concerned, you're not rolling this thing over. But you could roll that out. It's very top heavy. But it's the better, without a doubt, it would be the better off-road vehicle. But are you going rock crawling? No, you're not. Don't play around, okay? Your car's playing off-road. So don't, I mean, look, come on now. All right, 95% of the people aren't using it for what it's used for. Everybody knows that. Now, if you're the person that is going to, without a doubt, okay. Okay? But if we're going to talk about the general public, toughness, this is tough enough by far. And when you can fit, and when you factor in the cheapness of fixing the thing, right? Then it kind of doesn't matter if you break something. If you break something on a Landcruiser, it matters. Aftermarket parts. Now this is a good overlanding car, right? In fact, Suboverland. Go look if you don't know who Suboverland is. Guy has made an entire business off of taking the GMT 800 platform, the Suburban or the Yukon, and creating an overland vehicle. It's basically a touring vehicle. Go look him up. He's got a pretty good sized YouTube channel now, and he makes a really, really cool car. He puts his draw system in the back, and he builds things into the sides. I think he puts like a 2-inch lift on it, and he puts 33-inch tires. He really makes them mechanically sound, and you can pay, I don't know, $15,000 to $20,000 for this car, and it's going to last you a crazy long time. He built an entire business, and the interesting thing is that the other car that he does now is the 100 series. So that's how you know. This is a good comparison. But yeah, I mean, it is a very, very capable car for touring and light off-road, without a doubt. I mean, you put a 2-inch lift on it, and you put some all-terrain tires, and you can go a lot of places with this thing. But yes, the Landcruiser is going to be a tougher car. You're also going to be able to get better off-road stuff for the Landcruiser. It's going to cost a lot of money, but you'll be able to get better lift kits, more comfortable lift kits, air. So this is okay. So let's talk about the next thing is that suspension. Okay, I'm just going to lead right into it. The suspension on this is decent, and you could have gotten an airbag set up for this, but the one on the Landcruiser, that hydraulic one where you can raise it with just and that thing is awesome. It's so good. I mean, it is way better. The ride's going to be better. It is going to be better. The ride on this is bad? No. This is actually a really nice riding car, especially if you don't have all-terrain tires on it and you don't jack it up. If it's just stock ride height with some radial tires, thing rides great. Absolutely rides great, especially for a 24-year-old car. But the suspension on the Landcruiser and the Lexus is better. There's just no doubt about it. More expensive to fix, but it is cooler. It's really cool. All right, last thing about, let's call it suspension really, but it's about riding, is four-wheel drive. This is a really interesting discussion because this car you can get automatic four-wheel drive, meaning you push the button and you'll have rear-wheel drive, or a four-wheel drive will kick in when it needs to. You could have full-time four-wheel drive, or you could have two-wheel drive, and you could have obviously four-wheel drive low. You can have high and low. Landcruiser and Lexus is four-wheel drive all the time. Now, there is an argument to be made that's better, okay? Because you don't have to worry about, do I need to be in four-wheel drive now? Do I need to, especially with like my wife. I let her drive the Ram one time. It was in the snow. It was pretty bad out. And she's like, hey, what should I do? Should I leave it in two-wheel drive or should I put it in four-wheel drive? I said, put it in four-wheel drive until you get to the main road, then put it in two-wheel drive. But with the Landcruiser, there would be no question. She could just drive it. So if you're not the type of person to really want to think about that sort of thing, then yeah, it's going to be easier. But in the case of this is a more versatile vehicle as far as switching between the the settings. You can have auto four-wheel drive if you want. It's not full-time. Now you can have full-time four-wheel drive, but it's not something you want to drive around with, right? You don't want to just drive around with four-wheel drive all the time, put hundreds and hundreds of miles in a row with four-wheel drive all the time. But the auto, that would be fine because it's only going to kick in when you start to slip, right? With the Landcruiser, clearly you can drive around with it four-wheel drive because that's what it does. It's just all the time four-wheel drive. So it's simpler of a setup, not as versatile, Probably if it did have two-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive, there's your 1 mpg. So it would get 1 mpg probably better, maybe even more than that, maybe 1.5, maybe 2, who knows? But that's where your gas is going. It's full-time four-wheel drive. So there is an argument to be made that the Landcruiser is better in that because it's simpler, right? It's just simple. You get in and drive it. You don't have to think about it. So, okay. Well, look. I mean, I'm looking through my stuff right here, and I'm trying to think about anything else. I don't know. I think I got everything. If there's something that I'm missing that's really tangible, don't just be like, yeah, but like the Landcruiser's better. No, give me real world, give me real information. I just gave you hard data. And I also talked about the fluffy stuff of looks. And I was honest about it, right? Without a doubt, I was honest about it. But yeah, give me real world stuff here. Fixing the Landcruiser. I mean, I mentioned the timing belt, which costs a ton of money to get changed. The brake booster, that just to buy a brake booster, it's like $1,000 or something like that. $1,100 to buy a brake booster, or more than that even. You know what? I actually think it's like $1,500, and those things go. To change parts, I believe, if I remember correctly, the starter on that car is like you got to do a whole bunch of work to get to the starter. It's a harder car to maintain, but it's reliable too. So there's no doubt about that. But what I just said right there, all the stuff that I said, this is the better car. Okay. It's the better car. The things about the looks are, I'm giving them credit. I'm giving the 100 series credit for that sort of stuff. But that's subjective. That is subjective stuff. So if you toss all that out, and all you have is hunting elephants, right? And nobody does that. And that's it. Now look, it's yeah, but Toyota. You know, I want to drive a Toyota Landcruiser because I want to look cool. Well, okay. You know what I mean? It's hard to argue with that if that's the type of person you are. But just make sure you admit it to yourself, okay? Yes, it's an amazing car, but in every aspect, this is better. Every single aspect. It's cheaper, way cheaper. Cheaper to fix, easier to fix, okay? The parts are cheaper, okay? There's more used parts in junkyards. The reliability. Now you say, yeah, but how really, if you don't know about this car, this is a 300,000+ mile car. Just change the oil. I mean, just change the oil, right? The engine's going to go 300,000 miles. It's not even like, I mean, if you see one of these on the road, if you see a Silverado, a Sierra, the Suburban, this thing, and you're seated at the gas station, you say, how many miles are on that? I guarantee you the person's going to say 200,000+. I guarantee you. They just go forever. It's the better car. It's the better. Is it close? Do I want a Landcruiser? The only thing I'm scared about is the timing belt. I'll take care of everything else. The only thing I'm concerned about is the timing belt. And I even looked at one. I looked at a couple. A couple Lexus dealers had a 100 series. I called them up. I said, I want that car. How much is the timing belt? They're like, we'll get back to you. Like, how much is the timing belt job you did? Well, we'll get back to you. Never heard from them again. This happened like 3 times. It's difficult to maintain. It's a difficult car to maintain. Is it awesome? Yes. Do I want one? Yes. Why do I want one? Because it's freaking cool. It's a cool car. It's a cool car. But it is not better than this car. That's it. Oh, let's talk about transmissions. Because I know what you're going to say. Well, that 4L60 is a piece of junk. First of all, 4L60 is not a piece of junk. It's when you tow in overdrive. This doesn't have a 4L60. This has a 4L80. That's one of the reasons I picked the 2500 is a 4L80 transmission. Okay, this thing with a little tweaking is good to 2,000 horsepower. People put the 4L80 in like LS swapped race cars. The 4L80 is a beast of a transmission. So that is not a fault of this car. The 4L60, which is in the 1500 version, that can be a little bit temperamental. Sometimes they go for hundreds of thousands of miles, but if you tow one time in overdrive, it's destroyed. That's what ends up happening, meaning you don't put it in tow haul mode, right? So it goes into that last gear, which is a small gear, and it gets destroyed. So that's it. So that's the deal. All right, leave some questions in the comments. All right? Leave some. I want to hear it. Tell me something that you can compare these two where the 100 series is better, because I need more. I want more info to push me to get one. So, all right, everyone. See ya.